Welcome back to more of our show with Pilar Walsh. Here we go. All right, we're back and we're continuing with Pilar Walsh. And we have so much more still to talk about.
Pilar.
Pilar.
I like saying it ethnically.
Is that the Portuguese? See, I was putting the stress on the second syllable, but Pilar.
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 See, that's where I can't. I have.
Or you say Pilar. I'll give you a break.
Pilar. Yeah. How funny. Let's talk a little bit more where we left off before. Let's talk a little bit more about the 60s and the hippie thing.
Oh, gosh.
You had mentioned Janis Joplin.
Yeah, I could mention Janis Joplin, who I had the opportunity to meet because I was driven by the equipment guy back to their hotel on Sunset Boulevard, this seedy little hotel that's still there. And I knocked on Sam's door, and I really wanted to meet him. He was so good looking. And he was so happy I was there, and we snogged, I guess that's snogged, British. We snogged a bit. But then we went to dinner at a Chinese restaurant, and I got to meet her, and she was really nice. She was nice to me.
I bet she was nice, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked her.
Right. There was a member of Steppenwolf, too.
Oh, I was going to mention that was another really wild encounter. I was living with this guy, or briefly, because I was, hopping around as the hippie groupie, and he was selling drugs to Steppenwolf. So we went over there, and I got a chance to meet Animal Huxley, who actually is Aldous Huxley's granddaughter or niece, I think.
Oh,
I can't remember.
Who wrote Brave New World?
Animal Huxley, yeah, he wrote books.
I love that book.
Steppenwolf. Yeah. He wrote Steppenwolf, too.
Really?
Yeah, didn't he?
I have no idea.
Oh, no, that's Herman Hesse. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Aldous Huxley wrote Brave New World, yeah.
Brave New World, yeah. Because I had to read that in junior high school. That was required reading.
Well, she and I hit it off, and we went to their little, they were hired by a Jewish educational academy to go play at some graduation.
Oh, yeah?
And that was one of their first good, yeah. And I was able to hear their first single, Born to Be Wild, I think it was at the time, or could have been, there was a B-side, but I got to hear that on a little demo 45.
Oh, how fun is that?
In their apartment in Hollywood.
That would be called a vinyl record.
It was definitely a vinyl record. But it was...
which are coming back, by the way.
Yeah, she was living with Russian Moreve, the guitar player.
Oh, okay.
And I did hook up with Mike Monarch, the guitar player. A one-off.
The 60s. Oh, the 60s. So then you moved to Hawaii.
Well, no, then I moved back to Laguna.
Oh, okay.
And met the drummer from Dick Dale, and then we hooked up and lived together, and I had a baby, and he disappeared. And it's all in the sizzle reel, I think. But anyway, these masseuses, there was a married couple, they gave me a ticket to go to Hawaii and live on this commune. So that was the route.
Okay. And when you got to Hawaii, you met a baroness.
Oh, yes. I ran into Nancy's sister, Lori McIntyre, and we took a trip to the Big Island from Oahu. And she told me about a spiritual path that she was on, and she goes, "You want to come meet this woman?" I go, "Sure, why not?" So I went over with her to an anthurium farm in Mountain View, Hawaii.
What's an anthurium farm?
An anthurium is those flowers that look like plastic, and they have that funny little thing.
Oh, I know the ones you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had, and she turned out to be a baroness from Germany. Her name was Michelle von Reuch-Lewinsky.
Wait a minute, say that one more time.
Baroness is Michelle von Reuch-Lewinsky, and her husband was Ludwig. And she was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen, and the way she came across. And I said, "I want what you have," and that changed my life, was meeting her and following this spiritual path that she turned me on to.
Did you stay in touch with her for afterwards?
Oh yeah, for years. She moved to Australia, she passed away there after a while, a few years.
Right. And that's when you started dancing in Hawaii.
And that's when I started dancing again, right after that. Yeah, gave up my evil ways, smoking pot and taking
You
LSD.
couldn't do those things in dance too, could you?
Can't do that. No.
Yeah, it
well,
wouldn't
I met some dancers that were high sometimes, you know.
Right.
It was the 60s. They were from San Francisco. You know? But I do want to say that my last LSD trip was living in Volcano, Hawaii, and the volcano erupted. And the sky turned red, and of course we're all high and going, you know.
Oh my
and it
gosh.
was, I'll never forget that, you know, because it was so different and weird and crazy, and I couldn't believe it. And I was looking at this baby and going, what am I doing? You know, she
How
turned
old
into
was she about
She
that
was
time?
6 months old by then.
Oh, so she was a little thing.
She was still tiny and
Yeah.
depended on me, and so I had to alter my ways back then, and that was when it all changed.
That's a great exit from that lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like a grand finale exit
Yeah,
from that
okay, I don't need to
lifestyle.
do this anymore.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you talk about journaling every day.
Oh yeah, along my little path of trying to find myself, trying to deal with kids, you know, because eventually there was 4 kids.
Yeah, which we'll
There
get
was
to,
a
yeah.
time, I think it was in Texas, someone turned me on to the book by Julia Cameron called The Artist's Way. And she suggested if you really want to be creative and not be blocked, you know,
As a writer?
do the journaling as anything,
Oh,
singer, ceramist, you know,
interesting.
anything.
Okay.
She wrote this great book, and I took up the journaling part as a religion. No, what do you call it? As
Affirmations?
religious.
You mentioned affirmations too.
Yes, and writing affirmations so that kind of sinks in. And because I came from a background of really hating myself. I just hated myself. I thought it was terrible. And I would do these crazy things because I didn't like myself enough to not do them. And I made a mistake of thinking sex was love, which
Right.
neither had anything to do with each other.
Right.
And really messing up my life.
And if it's not too personal, why did you hate yourself?
Well, first of all, my father was an alcoholic.
Ooh, yeah.
So thank God for Al-Anon. And he was physically abusive
Oh.
to me
And
and my
that-
brother.
Oh, and your brother was disabled.
Crippled, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was, when he was drunk, he was awful, you know. But a lot of people have gone through that.
And that led to you hating yourself.
Yeah. So,
Because I don't know. I was raised
Yeah, I
by
know, with
Ozzie and Harriet. We talked about this the other day. I was very blessed. No home is perfect, right? But my home was probably as close to perfect as you could get.
and that's probably why you don't have any scars on your face, because, you know, I picked my face. Oh, it's
you have
terrible.
scars?
Oh, well, they're probably
I've never noticed
covered up with
them.
wrinkles now.
No, they're covered up with sunshine.
Oh boy, I used to get tan, like in Hawaii, I was like brown.
I bet you do tan really well.
I do.
Yeah.
Very Brazilian skin.
Right.
So you were asking something, and we went off.
I know. So,
What was
okay,
it?
so you're in Hawaii, you're dancing. You did your last LSD trip.
Yeah.
And became you did this for 10 years in Hawaii?
Yes, I
was it?
did.
Yeah, that you were dancing.
Oh, I was so lucky. I got to do some.
And
I
the
went-
journaling.
The journaling,
Did
yeah.
the journaling lead to your poetry book?
Yes.
Let's talk about that now.
Oh, you want to talk about the poetry book?
Yeah, let's do.
Oh, okay.
The one that you read the poem from at the
Okay.
opening of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, this happened, of course, I mentioned before. I had lost everything. I don't know. Did I mention it before?
How did you lose everything?
I got a divorce.
Boy, that's a common story, isn't it?
Lost everything. I had to pawn my jewelry. I had to move. So I went back to California. Thank God for some friends there that turned me on to this apartment building, and I moved into one of the studios. And the word essentials popped into my brain. I said, you know, I love that word because, you know, I try to focus on what's essential in my life.
In life.
You know, and I don't know, we're going to talk about reading another poem
We will at the end of the show.
at the end of the show, but do you want can I read about essentials right now, or should we pass?
Let's wait.
Let's wait.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Anyway, so because
I love the idea, but let's make it really a special
So I call
moment.
it essentials, giving birth to words, rhymes, and a story or two. I had a couple stories that I started writing in Hawaii. You know, I'd watch these surfers and how they walked on water, because there was this jetty or something that came out from Ala Moana Beach Park.
Okay.
And they'd walk on it, and all you saw was water. And they walk out to catch the waves.
Cool.
Yeah. And then I wrote about my experience of safety under the piano. I call it under the piano. So I wrote
Because
a
that's
story.
where you would hide?
So that was to get away from
your childhood.
my father. And
Okay.
yeah.
Right. Safety
Hide
under the piano.
piano.
If you're going to hide somewhere, that's a beautiful place.
It's a great place, yeah.
So now the jewelry came in when you...
yeah, that was much later.
That was much later when you started
After the
making jewelry.
divorce.
And jewelry is going to be Pilar's. I can't say it correctly.
What, Pilar? Yeah,
Pilar.
that's it.
That's going to be her demonstration today. On the next segment of the show. So
I'll show you how to make some earrings that... It's really simple, but you know, it's all about the tools. We'll talk about that later.
Talk about that, yeah. So I have random notes. So forgive me if I go out of order on this.
No,
okay?
I'm cool.
But
cool.
you in New Hampshire,
Yes.
summer stock?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Oh gosh, that really? You want to hear about my summer stuff?
Yeah.
I got to do Man of La Mancha, and Funny Thing Happened in Way of the Forum. I was a dancer, and then of course sang in the chorus and did that.
Yeah.
But I had some really interesting experiences.
And New
there.
Hampshire came where in your moving
That was when
from place to place?
Interestingly enough, there was 1 year I spent outside of Hawaii. I went there at 69, left in 1980, but there was 1 year I moved to New York.
Uh-huh.
Talk about going all over the place, doing crazy, weird stuff.
You've been all over the place.
I know. I was in New York, and I got hired by Salomon Brothers, and my boss was Michael Bloomberg.
Oh.
So that was one era that was very interesting, and I worked on the trading floor.
Oh, I'd love that.
That was really fun, but I was really lost. I didn't know what I was doing, but I really faked it. You know? I faked it good. So I worked there, and then after that, someone told me about the auditions for the summer stock, so I went there.
Oh, you did that.
I forgot about
Which
that.
was a better fit for you?
Oh, much. Of course. Yeah. We had so much fun. There was lakes and rivers and, fun stuff.
I've never been there, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
New Hampshire.
But this is in the 70s, so it's a long time ago. And then I ended up going back to LA very briefly, teaching at my mom's studio, and then meeting this guy, my second husband, which lasted all of 11 months. And we moved back to Hawaii, where my daughter was, living with who she thought was her father, her real father.
But who was it?
But she found out later. That was my first husband, the one I met in Hawaii.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then started doing other shows there in the late 70s.
And your daughter, you just touched on that. She found out later who her real father was.
Yes, and met him.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad
in
she met
Santa
him.
Cruz, yeah. Fine. Yes.
Yeah. There's just something to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, and then you had 4 children total. The first daughter.
Yes.
And then 3 children with this husband.
With my third husband.
Okay.
I don't mind saying that.
Right, because you're...
I don't even count the second one, It was like 11. It wasn't even a year.
Right.
No, my third husband, we were married for 13 years.
Okay.
And we had 3 children, and I kept trying to learn the piano, but I kept getting pregnant. And then I tried to learn the piano, and I kept getting pregnant. It was really kind of funny. I love the piano.
And you have grandkids?
I have 6, possibly very soon 7.
Uh-huh. And great?
I have 2 great-grandchildren already from my granddaughter. So you have to understand, my daughter, who passed, she and I had babies twice, almost exactly the same time.
Oh my gosh, because you were so young when you had her.
Yeah, so my son and her son were born 2 weeks apart. Her first son
Really?
and my second son. I had another son already before that. And then my daughter and her daughter were born 2 months apart.
Oh my gosh. So almost like...
And they just recently hooked up. They're both in Washington State.
Uh-huh.
And my daughter, Amalia, went and took a trip to visit her auntie. I think it's her auntie, or is she the aunt? I can't remember. One of them is the aunt, one's the niece. I don't know. You're making me think.
Close. They were so close. Oh my gosh. So you and your daughter, your first daughter,
Yeah.
Leah.
Aaliyah.
You kind of grew up together in a way,
Yes.
right?
And I have to say, she was one of the most creative people I'd ever met. She could do anything with art, photography, macrame, pottery. She was photographs, you know. She loved flowers. She did that photograph. But she did hundreds others about flowers, you know. She even called herself Aaliyah Flower on her, that was her handle on
that's pretty.
Instagram? No. Facebook? I forget.
One of them.
Yeah, one of them.
One of the social media.
Yeah.
Right. Moving forward,
Yeah.
you mentioned Tin Cup.
Oh, you want me? No, I mentioned that only, that's a little more personal.
Oh, okay.
That was living in Kingwood right before my divorce from my last husband.
Oh, okay.
And that dream I had, and I don't want to talk about
Okay, we'll skip that.
We'll skip that, yes.
All right. Let's talk about your meeting Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, that was wonderful. That was a kind of a miraculous.
What time period was this?
That was 1981. 1980 or 81. I'd moved back from Hawaii. I started studying acting with Lance Lindsay on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Okay.
And
in California.
yeah. And one night after class, I had just done a scene from Requiem for a Heavyweight, and I was driving down San Vicente Boulevard, and he pulled up next to me at a signal. I rolled down my window. I said, I really would love to talk to you. He goes, okay. And he pulls over underneath.
That's incredibly generous of him.
Yeah.
He could have gone, nope, got to be somewhere,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, he did have to be somewhere, and you'll laugh when I tell you that what he had to get home to is to watch Requiem for a Heavyweight with Jack Palance on Playhouse 90 rerun or something to that effect. But he was so encouraging and kind, and I said, you know, I had to explain to him.
You hopped out of your car.
Yeah, and God jumped in his car, and we chatted under the 405 freeway. And he was just the sweetest man. And I told him, because I had seen him much earlier in the 70s in War and Peace on BBC, and he played Count Bezuhoff, and he had a line that just really spoke to me. He says, you know, life is the day-to-day living of it. And I felt like, wow, he's like a prophet, you know, or like he was comparable to a priest or a prophet or something that was touching me to add to my life a way to be. And I said that what inspired me to study acting was that his performance in that show. So I told him, and he goes, oh my goodness, thank you. And then he patted my thigh and said, I've really got to go. But good luck, it'll all work out. And that was such a cool thing to say to me.
Words of encouragement, yeah. And then
I am a member of SAG. No, anyway, yeah. I got out, jumped out of the car, got in my car, and was on cloud nine. But he wasn't that famous yet.
Ah, but you knew who he was because you had seen him. And
well,
yeah,
because I'm a big Anglophile, and I love the British theater, films, actors. Yeah.
Yeah.
My last husband was English, or British.
Those are those moments where, you know, you couldn't have ever planned something like that.
Oh my
it was just
God.
meant to be, you know?
It was a gift.
Yeah, that you met him.
It was like that astrologer back in the 70s in Hawaii said, you're going to work in film, never give up. And boy, I'll tell you, those words were so embedded in my psyche.
The astrologer that you talked to?
Yeah, about, you know, she did my chart and all that. And I have, you know, worked in and out, dabbled.
And you never give up.
And I'm not going to give up because I really want to see Trolley to Lumina be a film.
Yeah.
Breakaway Babe be a film. How I Survived the 60s be a film. I would love that.
Right.
A dream.
And you are dealing with personal health.
Well, okay. Yeah, and I don't want to be in a rush. I don't want to be hungry, have a hungry heart about, got to do this now.
Right.
But I'm diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer to my spine and now my pelvis. And I am on medication. I do have treatment. You know, I try not to, I'm in denial, big time. I try to act as if nothing's wrong with me, but I do depend on pain medications. And but the strangest thing, I have to admit, and these are not just idle words, I have never been happier. I don't know why, and more grateful.
With everything you've done,
you've
never been happier than you are right now. Isn't that?
Well, I'm happy because I got to write, and I get to make jewelry. I don't have to go anywhere. I can sit right here. I just watched that beautiful movie. I have to say, I have to recommend Maestro to anyone who loves music. And to anyone who loves the brilliance of what Bradley Cooper did with the story, and how he talked about there's this place that he has to go to write that exquisite music.
And he plays who in that movie?
Leonard Bernstein.
There you go.
The genius, you know. And I was so lucky back in Hawaii to perform in Bernstein's Mass, which was created to open the Kennedy Center. And I got to be one of the street singers.
Specifically for the opening of the Kennedy
not
Center.
the one I did in Hawaii, but it was written, and that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life, was to be in that show and perform. That was my first professional singing gig.
Right, wow.
And I just, and in the film, they show him writing the last movement of that production. It's called Laude Laude, and I just was a puddle at the end. I couldn't handle it. It was just beautiful.
Oh, God. So let's talk about New York.
Okay.
Cabaret.
The second time I was there.
The second time you were in New York. Yeah.
And I had just finished studying singing and acting with Carol D'Andrea, wonderful teacher. She was in the original film of West Side Story, the token blonde. Anyway, so so I got all hyped up, thought, oh, this will be my last chance. I think it was 2011, 2012. I thought I'd go to New York and see what I can do, you know, with the singing. And nothing monumental happened except for I was asked to do a cabaret show and at Singer Space, which was a part of Symphony Space, 94th? I forget. Some street, a very well-known area of Manhattan.
Okay.
And so I was invited, and I got together with Barry Pearl and a drummer, and I even had a guest trumpeter, and I did a whole...
And there was a pianist.
Barry Pearl.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
Oh, he's incomparable.
When I see the video that we're going to watch,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He's incomparable and such a kind soul. And I had such a, coterie of friends and people who really supported my singing. And I put together this cabaret show, and I sang some a Brazilian song, De Garota de Ipanema, in Portuguese, and they enjoyed it. The girl from Ipanema.
That's impressive. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love singing in Portuguese, and so that was I had a great review. I don't know if you know who Richmond Shepard is, but it's Vonda Shepard's father, and he is an actor, a mime, very well-known mime. He came, saw the show, and wrote a really nice review for me, and I thought I was on my way. Then I got really sick, and I decided I had to leave New York, and then I went to Florida for a little bit, and then I ended up in North Carolina, and that was my journey to North Carolina.
And now we have a video.
Oh, of the cabaret show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you provided us with a video
yes,
of that.
Of course.
And your singing is beautiful.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, so let's watch that now.
Yeah.
It isn't nice. Everybody says don't, everybody says don't, everybody says don't walk on the grass, don't disturb the peace, don't skate on the ice. upset the cart, can't laugh like the king. Well, I say try. I say laugh at the king's gonna make you cry. Lose your voice. Fall if you have to, but lady, make some noise. Yeah. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb. There are oceans and rivers enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love and more love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another meadow. There are cornfields and wheat fields enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine. Oh, listen, Lord, if you want to know what the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little love. What the world needs now is love, sweet, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for you and you and you and you, all of mankind, right?
This is Pilar, y'all. Put your hands together for Pilar.
Yeah, boy, you are so good on stage.
really?
And such a good singer.
Oh, well, thank
my
you.
God, you're fantastic.
Well, I was told, I'm not, am I on, are we taping?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know if I should say it. There was this woman in Indonesia who told me that was my true talent, was singing.
Oh.
But then after a while,
You're
I got to the point
multi-talented.
where, oh, you're too old now, you know. I know.
Phooey. Phooey on
Well, I
that.
get to sing in different choirs, yeah.
Let's touch very briefly on you modeled also, and you
Oh, yeah.
also have worked with makeup.
Oh, yeah. That was my day job, I called it.
Okay.
Because that nighttime was I was performing in a show or dancing in something or other. And I got hired by Revlon in Hawaii in the 70s and got trained to do makeup and did some, big time demonstrations at Liberty House and all that. And then I really honed my skills as a makeup artist because I found that I couldn't always get dancing gigs. So I worked with models in other fashion shows, not as a model, but as a makeup artist. And then that developed, there was a time, I'm trying to think, how did I end up in Texas? I ended up in Texas doing a lot of makeup for headshots.
Oh, all right.
I hooked up with a couple of photographers there, and they'd hire me as a makeup artist. And then I'd worked in Seattle as a makeup artist.
Do you want to hold up? You have some
Oh,
pictures.
you want to see? Yeah, I did this, did a couple of things. One was for a lady. She was she worked for Disney Tunes, and I did her makeup and hair for a magazine
So let's hold these
cover.
up.
And then I did this in Hawaii for my daughter. She was the photographer, and she needed a makeup and hair person, so I went to Hawaii and did
She
that.
took this picture.
And she took that picture and ended up on Travel and Style
Okay.
in LA. This was a model actress in Las Vegas. I was there briefly, thinking I was going to be in a show. And then this is, let's see, what should I go next? Oh yeah, here's more Hawaii and Texas. I worked. I don't know if you can see
They
them.
look beautiful. These two were twins, you said, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, your makeup is beautiful.
Yeah, thank
on these
you.
people.
Yeah, and then this was LA, Seattle. These were in LA. This was Seattle.
Okay.
She was a beautiful model.
She is really pretty.
And then this was, I'm trying to remember where this, I think this was Seattle, and LA,
Okay.
I think.
Right.
It's been so long
Oh, it's
since I've
so
been doing it.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Also, you have provided us with a number of pictures of things that you've done
Oh, yeah.
over time.
Okay.
So let's talk about those real briefly.
Okay.
'cause, we've been
Are
talking
you going
a
to
while.
show them or?
Yeah, we're going to show them. Yeah.
All right.
So
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked about Bernstein's Mass.
Yes.
Let's go to Dancing Days.
Yeah, that's was a studio shot of me dancing,
It's
or doing a pose. Yeah.
It's so Judy Garland.
Oh, you
That
think?
shot.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's Judy Garland.
Oh, how funny.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. And then Trevor Noah.
Oh, that one. I did what do you call stock photos for this guy. He wanted someone to dress up like a fortune teller. And you don't know where they're going to end up. And my daughter calls me one day and says, "Mom, you're on TV. You're on the Trevor Noah show." And he called me something the Magnificent is going to tell us who's going to become president. And they put my picture there with all these other people who were, talking about the election.
How funny. Who knew? Huh?
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah.
That was bizarre.
And then I can't say this.
Mephistopheles?
Thank you.
Yeah, I danced in operas, which I loved doing. It was,
Why were they different from other things?
I don't know, my grandmother was an opera singer in Brazil.
Really?
And I grew up listening to the music, a lot of opera music. And I just had so much fun, because to me, opera is total theater. Total theater. You got it all.
It is. And it was kind of the origin of...
Musical theater.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what it is today.
Right.
Musical of musicals.
Okay, that was my second trip to Hawaii. I think it was my second trip to Hawaii, because I've been there recently. Yeah. So I was hired to do a wonderful show, because I had worked with Jim Hutchinson on Pippin, which I did in Hawaii. The first time I was there, and then the second time he hired me to do the musical of musicals. It is so, you have to be a fan of musical theater to really appreciate it, because there was spoofs on all the shows that Sondheim, Lloyd Webber wrote. Rodgers and Hammerstein, we did Oklahoma, and a spoof on Oklahoma, a spoof on Maine.
Is it a comedy then?
It's hugely
okay.
comedic. And then Kander Nab, who wrote Cabaret, the show Cabaret, and I got to do an accent, which I love doing accents. I did a German accent in that one. So it was
Playing
like
it up. Oh,
it was
fun.
like one of the best times I've ever had doing a show.
And the next one, only... You need to say this one too. Only...
Oh, yeah. When I was studying ballet at the University of Hawaii, they cast me to do kind of a lead role in Coppelia,
That's it.
the ballet Coppelia.
Okay.
Yeah. You can forget the word only. I don't know why that's there. But
Oh, really? Okay. And then...
And then
let's see.
Pippin.
And then Pippin,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Right.
Well, Pippin was definitely a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love doing musicals, yeah.
Yeah. They're really fun. They're magical.
they
They're just
are.
magical.
You know, we need musicals.
We do.
You know?
The more the better, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about, let's see, what do we have here? One more good sized thing. Eternal Rhythm.
Oh, gosh. Well, that's a real surprise because I found out about LEAP, Liberal Education for Arts Professionals, which is a program that they created in St. Mary's College in Moraga, up north near Berkeley.
In California.
I found out about the program, and it was created for ex and current professional dancers. You had to have had a career as a dancer to qualify for this program, and you get a BA in performance arts.
Okay.
So I started going to the classes downtown in Little Tokyo. They had a hotel that they rented for classes there. And I had to do a senior project. And because I had done the sizzle reel out in Costa Mesa, and we hired these drummers, we didn't hire them, everyone did it for free. But I talked to them, and one was from Burundi, Africa. The other lady went to Cuba twice to study drums. I forgot and the other guy, let me remember, Somalia, I think. Where's Masamba Diop, who did the film Black Panther?
Right.
He created this back and forth thing for drummers from America to come study in, is it Somalia or Sumatra? I forget. No, Sumatra's in Indonesia. Somalia? Anyway, I may be getting that wrong. I should look it up. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had these 3 drummers, and I went, oh my God, they're all from different countries, or they study. And all of a sudden I got inspired to look into drumming as a topic of people dancing to the drumming. So I created Eternal Rhythm, a global revelation of drum dance and song. It was supposed to be a senior project, 3 15-minute clips, which I would write about it.
Right.
And then, so I did that. And then all of a sudden I realized, well, why don't I do a whole documentary?
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Oh.
To do it.
Well, it's all about joy. Aren't we here to try to create joy?
And you created the sizzle reel for your as part of your senior project?
The sizzle reel, no. That was
that after?
That was for something else. No, that was before the documentary.
Oh.
So I got people from Burundi and footage from Burundi, Africa, which was great. What was it called? They had this special dance. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I should have wrote this all down because I'm losing my memory. No, I'm not losing my memory, but it's just such a long
time. Yeah,
it's been a lot of years and a lot of stuff. They did. Well, what was it? Oh, well, definitely Cuba. I interviewed people from Cuba about the drumming, and then Brazil. I got some great stuff, footage from Brazil, because they. Oh my God! They had that Filhos de Gandhi event out in,
which is a drumming event.
It's a drumming event. I wish I could have gone to film that, and Bahia, Brazil. Then there's what was it else? God, there were so many. I'm having trouble remembering.
And you received some footage from someone too that you used, right?
Just the Burundi, Africa.
Okay.
But he turned out to be my cameraman. Oh, the American Indians, of course.
Oh yeah. That part of it is so good. That
was
great.
my favorite part.
Yeah.
Because it was the heartbeat. And,
so let's watch that.
Okay.
I love this sizzle
reel. Then watch the
reel.
trailer.
I love the sizzle reel. Did I say that? I love.
No, this is a trailer.
Trailer.
Yeah.
I love this trailer.
The sizzle reel is the 60s.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because it's longer.
Yeah. I love this. So let's watch it now.
Yeah.
These 2 amazing drummers inspired me to look into this expression that exists all over the world. Kiro Kiro came here from Burundi, Africa, and Pamela Frankel went to Cuba 3 times to immerse herself in the Afro-Cuban culture. While becoming familiar with them both on the set of another film I was making, a whole new world was introduced to me. It wasn't just about Africa or Cuba, but a true global revelation of drum, dance, and song, and so much more. It opened my eyes to the vast amount of people who thrive and have been doing so for centuries, using drumming, dancing, and singing for a plethora of reasons.
In Burundi, not every day you can hear drum, but every other day you can hear drum. Somebody is drumming, somebody is drumming.
Many following in their ancestors' footsteps. So began my journey to uncover and discover the many cultures around the world that play, perform, teach, and gather together.
Create a kind of community, an identity.
A timeless ritual for some, but for most, it is an effort to keep a joy and a vibrant spirit alive in their everyday existence.
Nice. The best thing in the world.
I want to tell the story of how it all began. To the times when the different cultures were almost destroyed when these rituals were abolished. And little was left but to fall into drinking and despair.
But as it turned out, they took away our religion. It took an act of Congress for us to be able to worship the way we were brought up.
Then showed the people celebrating a resurgence with so many present-day groups and cultures. Each group displays a colorful, musical, and spiritual nature of their own special and distinctive style coming from their heart. I've discovered the passion these individuals have for this activity coming through them in ways that are uplifting and nurturing for the soul. But what makes each one unique is also what makes them the same, and I will showcase the pursuit of why they immerse themselves. Because I have found it is to create a bond of love, creativity, and community that sustains each individual in their lives.
Let me say this again.
Okay.
Coming out of this video, let me say this again. I love this trailer. I hope you have the opportunity to expand on it and to turn
I
it into
do
a full
too, because there's
documentary.
so many countries that, you know, in Africa alone, you could go to Kenya and you could go to, you know,
Yeah.
South Africa. You could go all over the place and
Right.
find different drumming groups and the way they
Right.
dance. And
I had mentioned when I was interviewing recording artists, I interviewed the Baha Men. And they
Yes.
said on Christmas in the Bahamas, they have a big drumming
Yeah.
festival there. And a competition, I believe, as well, of drum groups, you know.
And there's drumming groups here in America all over the place.
Absolutely.
Laguna has
Absolutely.
one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, is there anything else that we haven't talked about? Oh, Breast Cancer Angels.
Oh yes, I'm hooking up with Breast Cancer Angels. Well, maybe I should show you when we do the jewelry.
Okay, let's do that when
Yeah,
we do
we'll
the
talk.
jewelry.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
And is there anything that we haven't talked about?
Just, I'd love people's prayers that I can get through this cancer, and even though it's treatable but not curable, I'm going to prove them wrong. Because I was told 4 years ago I only had 2 years to live.
And here we are talking
And here we
today.
are 4 years later talking about the blessings that have come from just
Yeah.
putting one foot in front of the other,
Yeah.
one day at a time,
Yeah, okay.
and being grateful.
I love it. And when we come back with Pilar, she's going to demonstrate how she makes her jewelry, which we are wearing,
Yes,
by the
we're
way.
all wearing fun jewelry. I love
Wearing-
jewelry.
She outfitted me.
I got real serious about that at one time too, right after my daughter died and had the surgery on the hip, and called it Adornments by Pilar and set up a website and everything. And it's funny how I got distracted and ended up doing something completely different.
Right.
But
And
it's- yeah.
her pieces and her ornaments, she'll tell us everything about what she does
Yeah.
in the next part of this show. So we'll see you there.